We had a huge roller coaster up and down for 2 weeks, but here we are, completely underslept, underfed, but very, very grateful and happy about the results.
United Nations Climate Change Chief Christiana Figueres addressing the media at the end of a marathon final at COP17 in Durban. But how did this journey start 2 weeks ago? With days of deadlock negotiations behind closed doors and rumors of a suspended COP17, it seemed almost likely that Durban would be the final resting place for the Kyoto Protocol. From the start, the United States had said it would not commit to a second period of the protocol, just like it had refused to be part of the first. The European Union called for an agreement compelling all countries to control their emissions. India and China were vociferous in their view that developed nations should take on their historical responsibility and also commit more funds. South Africa and Brazil said they would willingly commit to a legal framework. So, with 194 viewpoints on the table, how would consensus be achieved in Durban? Yesterday, talks were already a day into injury time. Nations would not budge as day turned into night. COP17 President Maite Nkoana Mashabane pleaded with the world not to let Durban go down as a failure.
This multilateral system remains fragile and will not survive another shock. Let it has been in Kyoto, in Bali and in Cancun, be this generation that strengthens the multilateral climate change system. There will be opportunities to insert our specific interests, but only if the system is strengthened.
So, as the clock ticked and delegates grew weary, countries moved into an informal session that produced the good and the bad of last-ditch efforts to get their points across on issues like common goals with differentiated responsibilities and the future of the Kyoto Protocol. India's Minister of Environment, Jayanthi Natarajan, emotionally stated that the equity of burden sharing cannot be shifted.
I'm only wondering if there is an effort here to shift the burden of this entire climate change problem upon countries who have not contributed. Is this the text that they want to reopen?
Agreeing with India, Chinese negotiator Xi Jinping lashed out at developed nations.
We are doing whatever we should do. We are doing things you are not doing. What qualifies you to say things like this?
And as dawn broke, Nkoana Mashabane once again pleaded for a spirit of cooperation and asked nations to consider their national interests against the needs of the planet. Delegates praised the COP17 president and South Africa for the transparent and open manner in which the talks had been conducted.
We congratulate your presidency for this effective stewardship throughout this session, and we have no choice but to walk together on this journey.
I would like to take the floor in order to pay a tribute to your leadership, to the leadership of your country, and your personal engagement in bringing this COP to a successful end.
Thank you for this, for conducting such an inclusive, transparent process. It really shows the leadership of Africa and South Africa. It took everybody on board, and hopefully it will lead to the outcome that we are all looking for.
And it did just this, with the stalemate being broken just before 5 o'clock this morning. With a new legally binding agreement, the extension of the Kyoto Protocol for at least 5 years from the end of next year, and definite plans to get funds to developing countries through the Green Climate Fund. COP17 President Maite Nkoana Mashabane praised nations for finding common ground on a package of decisions known as the Durban Platform.
You were prepared to show the required political will to move this process forward. It is without any doubt in my mind that we have worked together to save tomorrow today. Climate change is our common problem which affects all of us, and the Durban Platform is the story we will take home with us. The decisions we have taken here are truly historical and include the following: amendments to the Kyoto Protocol, decisions on the LCA, the Green Climate Fund, the future of the climate change regime.
United Nations Climate Change Chief Christiana Figueres was exhausted but extremely pleased with the outcome.
They will now engage over the next few years about how the responsibility that lies on every single shoulder is going to be taken forward. But what this has done is this has made a much larger envelope of collaborative efforts.
And so ends another conference of the parties. Fears of suspended climate talks and of a diluted agreement merely to save face were put to bed. Civil society had shouted loudly throughout the conference that the polluters must not win the battle in Durban. And although not everyone has been left smiling, there is a sense that this could be the first step towards a more inclusive accountability. Minoshni Pillay, SABC News, Durban.